I don't know if this is the third, fourth, I think it's the fourth time they're rebuilding this beach. There's the Great Lakes ship way out there. Look at this. They had to rebuild their bank and then the neighbor's bank all the way down. Wow, that's how high the water is. Holy, look at the erosion there. It's 20 feet of land gone there. Used to be down here. Wow. Got the new steering head bearings in. Install those. Show you how I pack them. So we'll put the races in first. And what I use is the old race. There's the new race. Here's the old race. I'm just going to use that to tap it in. I got to grind this old one down. I got a little bit of weld sticking out there, so I'm going to grind that down first, and we'll install it in here. Like that. Just ground it like that a little bit. You can put a little bevel on the outside here, so it doesn't stick in there. You want to get it in nice and square. Make sure you get it in the right way. Put it in upside down, you're really screwed. I grind a little bit more off this one side, holding it up. Let's try this way. It'll bottom out. There's a little flat spot at the bottom there where it's gonna, and you'll hear it when it bottoms out. There, you hear it there. It's bottomed out. Bottomed out there. Just make sure it's even all the way around. A little bit more over there. That's it. You can see the bottom of the race all the way around. Make sure that there's no gap on any side. Gonna put the bottom one in. Just get a little tap to get it started. Harley probably does sell a tool for it, but this is what everybody's doing forever. It's almost there. Hard with this thing right here to get at it. More meat. That's good. I washed my hands so there's no grit, no dirt on them. And then I'm even gonna wipe the top of this off. This grease here, looks like there might be a little bit of shit on there. Take a big blob, put it in my hand, right like that. This is how I was taught to pack bearings. So I'm gonna go around, I wanna fill this edge in right in here, right inside. So I'm gonna squeeze it with my palm, squeeze it in, go all around the circle. Then I'm gonna do the top same way. And if you do it right, it should just push it right through. Just gonna work my way around the circle. And I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna do it this side. Now there's another way you can do it. You can pack both your hands right full of grease. And you can see as I'm pushing it through the bottom, it's starting to squeeze out the top, so you know you're getting it in there. See how it's coming out the top there? Look at how it's coming up there, it's all bubbling up, so you know, I know I'm pushing it through. So that one's done. So some people will put their hands right full of grease and then just squish it, and you can squish all the air bubbles out of the grease there, out of the bearing. Just really press it into your hand. And this way. I'm using a white, or it's a synthetic grease. It's a Mobil 1 synthetic grease, bearing grease. It'll last for a long time. Now this excess grease, I'm gonna smear it all around the races up here. Okay. Now the hard part, gotta clean my hands. I'm gonna put the tapered roller bearing on the bottom here. There's the all balls bearings came with a new seal for the bottom. The original one was just a chrome plate, didn't have a rubber seal to it. So I'm gonna put that on first. It's just the bottom ½ inch of this steering stem that's tapered. The rest isn't tapered. So I put that on there. And ideally you'd like a piece of pipe that would just slide right over that to tap that on. But again, you can use the old bearing race. And it might get stuck on that wedge a little bit, but I'm going to put it on this way so I can tap it off. Just use a punch or a piece of metal and just hit it on this race here. Just hitting it on that inner race. The first one came off pretty easy, so this should go on pretty easy. Sounds like we're there. Pretty sure we're there. You can kind of hear a different sound and it's not moving. Yep, that's there. Now I got to get this one off. Well, this one didn't even catch on the taper, so we're all set to go. Okay. Clean my hands up. Okay. It'd be nice to have another hand right now because I gotta lift that onto there. I have to the same time as holding this in. Most bikes have like Japanese bikes all have a separate nut. I just stick this in there, put the triple tree on with a nut, but I've got everything attached to it, and there's only one bolt for that thing. Stick the bearing in there, and then this has a chrome cap. I'm going to put the chrome cap back on there. It covers the stem pretty good. Get the fucking wires out of there. I might need bungee cords. Differently. I just put a piece of wire through the steering lock. Right here, you could put a bolt in there or anything, and that'll hold that right up. Hold it up enough to get the big nut started. There's a little trick. It works. Sure. Where all these fucking wires go. Was the problem. Didn't have it lined up. Okay. Okay. Get all the free play out of here. Okay, it's just bottomed out. Okay, so take this wire off. I'm going to put the forks in, and before I adjust it, you know, I want all the weight of the front end, or some weight on there. And a little bit of weight on there, and then I'll do the final adjustment on that. Still no oil in here yet. I got new bars coming. These great big FLH bars on the skinny front end don't look right. I got the new seals on there. Just getting them in there for some weight on there. Okay. So I want to make sure there's no up and down play at all in those bearings. You don't want that clicking at all. You lift that triple tree. What you're supposed to do is snug it up a little bit, make sure you get all the play out, and then back it off just a little bit. So I'm going to give that a little snug, and if I can stop it in one spot, it's too tight. See, like that, like it. I stop it there, it's too tight. I've gone a little bit beyond. I'm just going to back it off a little bit. No free play in there. It just glides nice and smooth. That's good for now. When I get the wheel on, everything all assembled, oil in it, get the bike back together, I can jack it up and then recheck it again. I can even drive a little bit, recheck it, make sure it hasn't freed up at all. But that's good for now. And then what it says is to torque that Allen screw, the pinch bolt. Pinch bolt's right there, and that's to 21 to 27 or something like that. Supposed to torque it between 21 and 27 foot-pounds, so I'm going to put about 25. That's done. 6 1/4 to 7 ounces. Mine are pretty cleaned out, so I'm going to put 7. Well, I'll put close to 7, maybe a little bit under 7 ounces. Six 3/4. I'm putting this is 20 weight, so it's pretty heavy. Some guys run 15, some run 20. So if I put a little bit less in. Just a little bit of fork oil that's in here, but so right up to there. How many ounces are in this thing? 16 ounces, so just enough. Put a little golf tee in the tip of it, so lets the air out and it goes in pretty quick. Okay, now the hard part's to get this cap in. These are an aftermarket progressive shock. There's springs in there, so it's got this little 2-inch spacer and a washer, so the washer goes in first. Yeah, there's the springs down there, that's there. press that and turn it at the same time. And it's a lot easier when the bike's on the ground. I'm trying to do this in the air. I gotta get my step ladder. I'm on my wrong side of the horse here. I should take the handlebars off. Won't work, just put that on there so it pushes it down a level. I'm going to loosen off this pinch bolt now so that it'll pull it up nice and tight into that wedge fit there. That should be plenty tight. Those are nice and parallel. Tighten this one up. Okay, those are nice and tight. Same on the other side. Okay, we got fork oil in both of them. And you can see when whenever I buy a bike or look at a bike, I always look right across the two forks. Just see if they're perfectly parallel. You don't want one cocked at all. If it's cocked or bent at all or twisted, the bike's been down the road. So that's the first thing I always check. So I got the steering head bearings in there, top and bottom. They're all packed. I'm going to get the front fender on and the wheel on. Tomorrow I'll do that because I got to pack the bearings. There's the bearing there. Bearings, races, seals. Put that on. I just want to put it in loosely because the guy told me the speedometer was on this side and it was spinning the trip meter backwards. So I'm just going to slide the wheel in there and spin it with my hand and see which way the speedometer works. Supposedly it's supposed to go on this side, so I'm not sure. I'll look on the manual. I think I did look online, and some people got it on the right, some people got it on the left. I don't know. Solder back the solder the signal light wires back together, or I'll put a connector in there so I can take it apart. I need a new relay. It's flashing on one side and not the other, so I'm pretty sure that relay's done. Yeah, she's coming together. Can't wait to get the fender on. I think I'm just going to put this fender on without the fork brace in it. Did all that work for nothing. Waste of time and money. I'll keep this. I might use it on my Brat Norton when I get into that build shortly. And what I'm going to do, I'll get this bike all up and running. Make sure it's running nice. And then I'll get the nice chrome fork brace that goes across here. They're about 200 bucks, but I'm just going to keep looking and looking and looking until I find one you know, that's fairly cheap. Once in a while you can pick them up for 80, 90, 100 bucks. And yeah, I just about got that. So I'll finish up this video tomorrow once I get the wheel on. Turn the music down. Okay, it's literally 2 hours later. I had to go into town. I got a cheap Princess Auto sliding hammer. It seems like I'm always borrowing Peter's all the time, so I went and got my own. They're cheap enough, 39 bucks. And this was straight, bent the hell out of it. This didn't work. Welding the washer in didn't work. I couldn't get a good enough weld on it for some reason. So the washer just kept snapping off, and I put the heat to it. I didn't get it, but where is the frickin' culprit? I didn't film it. Too much profanity would have offended a lot of people, and my lord, and everybody else. But there's that piece of shit I got out of there. And what I had to do, you can see here, I dremeled, took my die grinder and I dremeled a relief in there and a relief on this side. And then I started globbing the metal on there. Finally got to stick it and build it up. I had to build it up quite a ways to get past that inner lip in there so that I could get a punch on it. Once I got a punch on it, punched right out. But, oh my God, I'm just warning you right now. And I was looking online to get a blind hole puller, and you got to buy the whole kit. And yeah, oh, I just got a text on my phone there. Every school in the province of Ontario is just closed because of this coronavirus. All sporting events closed. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know the average age of people that have died from that coronavirus is 80 years old. That's the average age. That's only a couple of years older than the average of any human. Anyways, I should have probably left well enough alone without the proper tools. And like I say, the races weren't rusty, they weren't pitted, they weren't grooved. So on this side, I'm going to put the new bearing in. The other side, I'm going to repack probably the old bearing, because the old bearings are still good in there. So put that in, and then keep the one new one in the event I could find a puller for that. It's a blind hole puller, bearing puller, 1 3/4, up to 1 3/4. That's what I need. So I'll just keep an eye out for one. I can always pull the wheel off later, but that's a dirty, tough job. I don't recommend that for anybody. I struggled, fought, chiseled, grind, welded, tried every trick in the book, sledgehammer. And that's what my buddy Peter suggested, was he was going to use his, and he was going to weld a nice washer on there. I even rounded off the tool pieces. Where's the other one? So that I got a lot of bite like that one there. I put a round contour on so I get lots of pull on the bearing. Didn't touch it. I had to get this big punch on it. But I had to weld enough of slag to catch that right there to get it out. Okay, we pack those and put them in. That's how I got it back in there. Found a washer that fits in there just right, because my socket is kind of rounded on the end here, so it slipped off. So I just put that on there, a couple whacks of the hammer, and got it in there. Okay, I packed the bearing, put her together. I got this thing jacked right up. I got the whole bike's just teetering there. I finally slid. I couldn't stop to turn the camera on because I'm trying to hold this thing balanced all at the same time. Really teetery, dangerous, stupid. Don't forget to put that spacer back in between those bearings too. You get that in there. Without that, you got to do it all over again. Just want to get this wheel on. Oh, that bike's just teetering. Just want to get this axle in, and then I'm safe. So whoa, hang on. I spun the wheel. The speedo drive does go on the left side, so I don't know what that guy was talking about. Oh, I gotta get some straps on this thing, but I gotta get this wheel in first. Where's my Coppathene hammer? It's a good time to check for any free play. In here, there's nothing. Let that sit there. I just want to clean these bolts up first, or nuts up. I like to just snug all these things just beyond hand tight a little bit. The lower caps, and then just snug this up a little bit. just grabbing there a little bit, because if you don't, if you tighten up the caps over here first, and then tighten this up, well, there might be a gap. You may not have the axle pulled all the way in here. Sometimes they're spread a little bit. So if you tighten this up first and the axle isn't in all the way, then it won't be spaced properly. That's the other thing too. We're gonna have to check this, but when you change those bearings, you got to check the end plate. It's supposed to be between 4 and 18 thou, and that's set by the factory, and that's set by that spacer that goes in between the bearings in there. And if there's too much end plate, then I got to stick a longer spacer in there. If there's too little, then I got to shave a little bit off. So, but I changed one bearing, and I'll check it here. Hopefully, I'm within the range. So the cap bolts are 11 foot-pounds, I believe, and the axle nut is 50. So now that I got it snug, I know the axle's pulled everything in tight. I'm going to tighten up this end cap here first before I torque this one here. Now I'm going to tighten this one to 50. Okay. I can feel some end play in here. I do have a dial gauge and magnet, but it doesn't matter what it is. I'm not going to change it now that I got some in there, but I can maybe you can hear it a little bit. There's a little bit of play in there. There's just a little bit of play in there, which is good. No way I'm taking that apart. Okay, so that's all tightened up. I want to get this bike tied down. This bike is sitting here. This bike's sitting here way too loose. I got it jacked way the hell up on that thing. Yeah, I might just spin it just to make sure that speedo's working here. The book shows it goes on the left side. Okay. I'm gonna put this brace back in here, lower it down, tie it all down. Okay, I feel much better now. I got that strapped down again with 4 straps. I got that teetery center lift out of there. That thing's dangerous. Yeah, so the front end's done. I just got to put the calipers back on, and I already got them all sandblasted. I just need to clean them up really good and then paint them, and they're ready to go on. And then I'm going to try to bleed. Let's go. this thing again. Then I'm going to try to bleed this master cylinder here that I rebuilt, but I couldn't quite find the proper kit. So I kind of hodgepodge between two kits to make it work. And I forgot what the numbers were, but I think it's an 11, no, okay, 5, 8, 9 sixteenths or 11 sixteenths. But it's dual caliper. So they only made it like 1 year, 1 or 2 years. It's a really oddball size. I even went to the dealership and he pulled up like 4 different kits for that year. But I brought these parts with me and none of the parts were the same. So kind of on the internet, picking different ones that look close, and the same bore, I rebuilt it. So I'm gonna try to make that work and try to bleed it with these old hoses on here for now. If I can't, I'm gonna probably just order a whole new caliper. And I'm gonna put stainless steel or the new nylon brake lines on here. They make them in Toronto, custom make them to the right size, everything. I can get all 3 of them for like 90 bucks Canadian. And I found a fork brace. I'm gonna go get that on Saturday, just outside London. It's only about an hour drive, 60 bucks. So hopefully he still has it there on Saturday. And it clamps on the outside right here. It's off a Sportster. These are the same front ends off the Sportsters back in the 80s. They're 35 millimeter. I think I said in a few videos that these were 39 millimeter, but these are 35s. I used the Sportster front end on it because they were lighter. Yeah, 35. So I got this all tightened up, this all tightened up. I got these changed. I got the steering head bearings done. Wheels repacked and 1 bearing replaced. 2 new seals in there. Front brakes gonna be rebuilt. I got to put a signal relay in here. And this front end is all rebuilt. Top end of the engine's all rebuilt. New exhaust system, new battery. Yeah, we're gonna fire this bike up pretty soon. I got to get this bike together. Today is Thursday. Saturday, Sunday, I'm gonna go get that fork brace. And so then I want to get this buttoned up. Doesn't have to run or I want to just get it back together. Yeah, the rubber mount for the exhaust should be in this week, hopefully Friday or Saturday, and then I can have this kind of all buttoned up, and I can maybe push this even off the lift, because I want to spend a few days on this Norton. I got the new ignition system. What's going on here? I got the new Walsall ignition system I'm going to put in this, and to do that I got to take the tank off, side covers off, charge the battery. I'm going to try to clean that right carburetor if that's my problem. I got a feeling this whole problem with this thing not starting last fall is that ignition system, because it was making a really weird sound, buzzing and humming, had enough spark to run on 1 cylinder, not the other. Pulled the plugs out, looked like I had spark on both. So I'm going to start there, because that was an old used Boyer ignition system. So that's my goal for next week. Get this bike done. I got to spend a week on this bike. It's March, almost middle of March. I got to get this bike running. That's ridiculous. So that's all the Norton guys. This one's coming up next week, my promise. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.